Here we go. All right. Once again, good evening, everybody. It is November the 3rd, and 2022, and this is MELS or MSA 601, Dr. Church's cohort. And we are getting close to Thanksgiving, which is good for family, for friends, for getting together, having a great meal, enjoying being around people that you care about. And also maybe give you a little bit of time to take a breath and relax just for a bit before you go out on Black Friday and fight the mob getting all the specials. So that if you want to do that, you are welcome to do that. I'll be in my workshop working on a project that I'm working. So I'm not going to take any more of your time talking about things that I'm doing or not doing or maybe doing or could be doing or should be doing or would be doing. So we will get started. We are, well, now I looked at it a while ago and I forgot, what week is this?
11,
12,
I think, isn't it?
12, 11, 12.
It all blurs together.
Yeah, Jardine, thank you. I think she gave me the 1, 2, which means 12. So good deal, good deal. So we're getting towards the end. I talked to you last time about that, but you really need to be moving right along with the ABSL. If you are not past the midpoint now, you need to get it up. We did talk about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a good break to catch up on some things to get that. And I understand that, and then make good use of the time if you have an opportunity to do that. But really need to start moving on the ABSL, because what we're going to talk about tonight, while it's not necessarily complicated, it can be a little time consuming as you work into TaskStream and complete those tasks in TaskStream. Not the things in the direct response folio, the DRF. That's not really that time consuming. But when you get into the competency folio, that can take a little bit of your time. But before we get into that, does anyone have any burning questions about the ABSL? I've emailed with a few of you, even today, on some of the things. Great questions about the ABSL. But as you're approaching ABSL Task 5, any questions about that? All right, good deal, good deal. If there are, as always, you can let me know you have a question or just speak up. So that brings us to TaskStream. And that's kind of where we are approaching at this point. As you finish up the ABSL, you finish up Task 5, I tell you, okay, put it all together, upload it to the Dropbox under the heading of ABSL Final Evidence Narrative. And like I told you last time, that's just an opportunity for me to put my eyeballs on it one more time before I tell you to submit it to TaskStream. But once I do, I'll tell you to submit it to TaskStream. You will come on to TaskStream. We went over this in the last class session pretty thoroughly. The video recording is in my Blackboard shell under video library. You can find it, where I really talked extensively about the difference between the DRF and your competency folio and where to take TaskStream. We'll do a little brief review here. So you take your ABSL. Once you get it completed, you log into TaskStream, and once I tell you that your ABSL is ready for TaskStream, this is where you upload it. You upload it here for final evaluation. This is the licensure stuff. This is where the state evaluator will pull it out, take a look at it, give you either a 3 or a 4. And that's what we're shooting for. If you get a 3 or a 4, then it's proficient or accomplished, and you're good. You don't have to do anything else with the ABSL at this point, and then you're good to move on. If for some reason you score below a 2, they'll give you a little bit of feedback as to maybe some changes that need to be made. If that happens, contact me immediately. We'll work on that revision together to make sure that we have it in great shape. That happens very, very rarely. It does happen from time to time. But like I said, that's very rare indeed. But if it happens, it's not something that we can't recover from. It's not anything to worry about. That's what I'm here for, is to help you get through that in case that happens. But if I did my job correctly, I'm giving you really good feedback. Dr. Church is giving you really good feedback, and so you will score 3 or 4 regardless. So once you have ABSL, we talked about the competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition. And basically, those are just self-assessments. I recommend that you do that after you finish the ABSL, because as I said last time, the ABSL is the top priority right now, is completing that and getting that done. And you really can't respond to these questions the way you need to respond to, or these statements the way you need to respond to them, unless you've gone through the ABSL, because it's going to ask you how you feel about your competency to be a leader with the 21 competencies, and also how do you feel about yourself being dispositionally ready to take on a school leadership role in some other areas. So, and like I told you, you don't get a grade. This is just a check off. You've done it. That's all we do with a competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition. It's not for a grade, but it is a requirement that you have to complete it. And that's more for your benefit, to give you an opportunity to take a good, strong, reflective look at yourself after going through the ABSL, to say, okay, where am I at in these areas? How do I feel about where I'm at this point in the program? So this can take anywhere from 10, 15, maybe even 30 minutes to complete, depending on the thought process that you put into them. And I do recommend that you give them some good thought, give it some good thought. So once you upload the ABSL, and then don't wait on the evaluator, move on to other things. So don't think that you have to get a grade from the ABSL before you can do the competency analysis, before you can do the School of Ed disposition, or before you can click up here into folios and web pages and do the competency folio. You don't have to wait to get graded for the ABSL to move on. So once you put it in there, you move on. You go to the next step. And that could be the competency analysis or the School of Ed dispositions. You can save these for the last, because the other priority aside from the ABSL is your competency folio. And that's what we're going to spend some time talking about this evening, and going over that in a little detail. Okay, so the way you access the portal to get to the area to create your competency folio is up here in folio web pages. Now, I'll always say this, and I repeat it several times, just hopefully it'll kind of get familiar to you by me doing that. But there is your direct response folio, the DRF. That is this platform right here. There is your competency analysis, that right there, which is your self-assessment in the DRF. And then you have your competency portfolio or your competency folio. So they sound really similar, and they can create a little bit of confusion. So just like I said, I repeat that several times just to hope it will become familiar to you. It won't cause any speed bumps as you're riding down the road getting this done. Not riding down the road, literally riding down the road figuratively. All right, so to access your competency folio, or like I said, the portal to get you there, is you click on folio and web pages. Now, I've built one, and I showed it to you last time. This is my sample, but you will need to create your own, because as I said last class, this is really your web page. You are creating a web page that's going to highlight your attributes as a leader as you go through the program. So when you graduate, when you get your licensure, when you go out and start interviewing, you can actually use this web page, competency folio, as a tool to get a job in whatever area you want to. Like I told you, this is like an artist's portfolio. It's like a model's portfolio. It shows the person looking at it what you have done. So this is yours to keep on past graduating Gardner Webb and getting licensure. So it is a portfolio of the products that you created going through this program, and can be very beneficial in an interview situation or a pre-interview situation, and even drawing on it from, as you go into administration and going back and looking and pulling things out that you want to use again. Maybe the action plan that you created for the ABSL, you want to use that action plan in the school that you're going to be an assistant principal or a principal in. I mean, it certainly happens all the time. a teacher becomes an administrator in the school that they taught at for years. So, you know, it has a lot of applications. But to get to that point, you will need to create your own. And if you have not done that, it is basically a simple process. What you will do is you will move up to here to says create new, but there is a great little 2-minute video. You should be looking at my Blackboard shell now. There's a great little 2-minute video in video library. Just click on that and it comes up automatically. And it is this one right here with Dr. Lamb's. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but that beard has gone Santa Claus mode. He plays Santa Claus every year, and he always grows that out. And I tell you what, he really looks the part. But I'm getting distracted here. No, not this one. I'm sorry. This is for 605. Ignore that. You're not going to upload it. You're going to set up your competency folio. So this is the link to that. It's the first one. So this would come before this because this is at the end of the program. Setting up your competency folio, you click on that. It'll take you straight to a YouTube video where Dr. Lamb will give you a 2-minute instructions or even less. I don't like that. I wish that hadn't came up there. I'm going to talk over that person because I didn't ask them to join the class. Okay, so it's a little 4-minute video. Setting up your competency folio. So when you set it up, it's going to look something like this. And this is what I did. I followed the same directions and went in and set mine up. So this is your competency folio, and this is all about the 21st century competencies, all about those 21 leadership competencies that you've looked at, that you've worked to. You wrote about 12 of them in task 5 of the reflections. So you should be very familiar with these competencies from communication all the way down to visionary. All right, so the task here is for each of these competencies is now make sure you understand this. You don't have to, this is something you will be working on from 601 all the way to 605. So this is a living document that you work on as you go through the program. You do not have to complete it in 601. You have 605 to complete it, but there are checkpoints that you need to get to each semester. And in 601, you have about 9 competencies that you have to address inside the competency folio. And I'll show you how to know what those are in just a minute. But just don't think that you have to complete everything you need to do for all of this semester. You do not. You have the whole program to get it completed. Now, I would highly recommend that you stay up to speed on this, because when a candidate lets this go, and it will be reviewed by your clinical coach. I hope and pray I'm your clinical coach because I really like working with you guys. I hope you stay as my candidates all through the program, but you may get a new clinical coach. But your clinical coach monitors this to make sure that you're staying on track and being on pace and getting this done by 605. Because if you wait into 604 or 605 and you haven't done everything prior to that, it is a monster to catch up. Just because you got other things doing to try to graduate for one thing, but other thing, it's been so long since you dealt with some of these artifacts and some of these evidences that you kind of may forget where they're located, forget what you thought you were going to put in there. So it's good to stay on task and stay on pace with this. So like I said, you don't have to really, some of these you don't even have to touch right now if you don't want to. And how do I know? You're thinking, well, Joe, how do I know which ones I need to deal with and which ones I can let go or deal with later on the semester? Well, it's really handy. They actually tell you, if you'll click on each of these, it will tell you if it is correlated or pertinent to this semester. And the way you'll know that is by the evidence that's indicated beside the title for each semester. So you're in 601 now, and you're completing the ABSL. Well, under communication, you will see the ABSL here. So that tells you, okay, I clicked on the wrong thing. So that tells you right here that I need to upload an artifact from the ABSL. Now, any questions so far? Yes, sir. Yes, Steve, I think I saw you. Yeah.
Yeah, these artifacts, they can be stuff that we've already used as appendices in our Absol, correct? Or was that,
Excellent.
I misunderstand that?
No, sir, you are right on point. That's right. That's where you will find your artifacts. These come from the Absol. These come from the Absol. So a good artifact here, communication, maybe maybe where you got an email, a screenshot of an email where you principal gave you permission to start the PLC, or maybe a screenshot of an email, or where you gathered everybody together. It could even be a Google Doc where you put some things up with the Absol PLC and you guys exchanged ideas, just a form of communication. So what you'll do by the end of the program, you don't have to do it now, but by the end of the program, you will upload three artifacts for each of these competencies. They don't all come out of the same semester. You got to 605 to do that. So communication, change management, conflict management, creative thinking will each have three artifacts that you upload. And that's why I'm telling you, the main thing is to get done with the evidence first, because once you get done with the evidence, you don't have to really recreate anything here in the competency folio. You just pull from what's already been created, and that's your evidence. That's where you're going to pull the artifacts from for the most part. Now, each artifact, the requirement is 3 evidence. Once again, this is your web page to do with it and make it your own. If you want to upload more to highlight more of your leadership skills and leadership capabilities and capacity, you certainly can. There's no maximum that you can upload here, but the minimum requirement for Gardner Webb to get licensure and to pass the program is at least 3 artifacts per competency. Okay. Now, and beside of each competency, it will always tell you where you need to get your artifacts from. In communication, you need to upload an artifact from the Absol and upload an artifact from the PSYOP. Well, you won't do the PSYOP to MSA 605. That's at the very last semester. So you don't have to worry about that right now. This semester, you can just upload, you're required to upload at least 1. Change management has an Absol. And the reason they do this is because that was the way the evidences were designed. The evidence were designed and embedded within the evidence, and your prompts and your tasks were opportunities for you to show your capacity in a particular competency. So that's the way it was designed. So they're correlated, they're connected, they mesh together. And that's why you will have the opportunity and should have the opportunity for artifact out very easily from the evidence that you're working on in that semester to match that competency. I think conflict management has an Absol, creative thinking has an Absol, maybe delegation is the first one. No, customer focus is the first one. There's no need to touch customer focus this semester, because if you'll look, there's nothing in the Absol about this. Nothing here that indicates that anything needs to come from the Absol. You're to upload an artifact from the OMA, which is MELS 603, I believe, and upload an artifact from the SCIP, which is MELS 604. So you won't need to touch that. Now, I want to go back. As we said, each artifact requires at least 3 evidences by the end of the program. One of those is to be the Absol. Now, if you'll notice, and we talked about this last time, I believe, or it might have been another cohort, you see this open-ended. Open-ended is like a wild card. It can be anything you want it to be. It's like, I think I use this analogy, if you're playing poker and deuces are wild, then that deuce can be an ace, that deuce can be a king, that deuce can be a queen, it can be whatever you want it to be. You pick and make it whatever you want it to be, because that's a wild card. It could come from anything. Does not have to come from the evidences. Can it come from your clinical experiences? Can come from your internships. If you did something that you're really proud of and you want to highlight it here in the area of communication, could be that you did a school messenger announcement over something very important and you want to highlight that, then you can upload that here and that count for communication. Now, you don't have to do an open-ended. All you're required to do, I should take that back, that might have confused you. You don't have to do an open-ended for example, this semester. The only thing that's required is the APSL. But as you go through each semester, if you see things that will count as your wild card, as your open-ended, you can upload those anytime. Upload them anytime. I would recommend that you always keep your eyes and ears open for something that you've done collecting your internship hours, and you're thinking, you know what, that would work good for conflict management. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that as open-ended. You can do that at any time. But at the end of the day, at the end of the program in 605, you are to have 3 evidences for each competency as indicated here beside of the name of that competency. Any questions so far?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just thinking of something with like the delegation or conflict management. Can we take a picture or a snapshot of like a paragraph from our narrative as an evidence, or does it have to be some sort of picture, video, something like that?
Okay, at one time, Stephen, I used to say absolutely not. It cannot be from your narrative. Your narrative cannot be an artifact. Your narrative tells what you've done. It doesn't necessarily show what you've done. But over the years, I have had some people put in the narrative, and I've had to concede, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that because it's something that's pertinent. It's very relevant, and it shows your leadership capacity for that particular competency. And it's not something you would necessarily have an artifact. So I've changed my mind over that over the last 7 or 8 years, as I will accept that. But if you're going to, my recommendation to you is if you're going to pull anything out of the narrative and count that as an artifact for your competency, email it to me first and let me take a look at it. And that will save you some time and save me some time. And that way we'll kind of preload that, make sure it's in good shape. But yeah, email that to me ahead of time before you stick it in. Now, so I've got an artifact. I want to count it. I've got a screenshot of whatever, and I want to put it in communication. How do I do that? Well, if you'll notice up here are all these little radio buttons that will help you if you want to upload a text, if you want to upload a slideshow, main text, just upload an attachment. That is open to you. That's what you do. You just upload it there. Now, what I would recommend is make sure that you label everything that you upload. If it's a snippet for the APSL, then when you save it with the APSL in there, because it's easy now, because as you upload artifacts, I want to know whether they're all coming from the APSL, so they're all from the APSL. But as you move forward into the program, you're going to be uploading multiple artifacts. Sometimes it's really hard for your reviewer, your clinical coach, to determine what artifact is connected to what evidence for that competency. But if you go ahead and in the title indicate that artifact, just put APSL in the when you save it in the convention, just save it with the APSL in the title. Then the person reviewing this will know, okay, this person means for this artifact to be their submission for the APSL or the PSYOP. So I always do that, even open-ended. When you save it, the convention you use those terms so the clinical coach past this semester will know what artifact goes with what evidence. That's really helpful. Now, some candidates, they will even include a description. They'll open up a text box. They'll write a little description of the artifact and then plug the artifact underneath it. And that's fine. And you can do that. No problem. You don't have to write any big long paragraph, but if it's a picture of you in front of some people, then it's going to be maybe difficult to determine why you're submitting that artifact. So you may want to say, this is my presentation to the principal on my action plan. The APSL artifact, and you save it as an APSL artifact, shows my competency as a leader in communication, as this was how I communicated my action plan to school leadership. So you can put descriptions in there. So you will go through, like I said, I think there's 9 of them. For this semester, 601, you'll upload something for communication from the APSL. Change management has the APSL. We went through this a while ago. Conflict management, creative thinking. Now, and I want to tell this will help you out this semester and beyond. Just keep in mind, conflict management and conflict resolution is not necessarily student discipline. Can it be? Yes, absolutely. But it can also be how you set up your norms and protocols and meetings to handle disagreements, to handle variance of opinion. So it can also be adult. No, I'm not thinking about, a fist fight or anything like that, just a difference of opinion. That can be conflict resolution and conflict management. It's not, it goes way beyond just student discipline. So just keep that in mind for semesters to come up later on. Creative thinking, APSL. Customer focus, nothing to do with the APSL. If you wanted to upload this semester something from open-ended, your wild card, you could do that, but it's not anything required from customer focus at this time. Delegation, APSL. Dialogue and inquiry, no. Emotional intelligence, no. Environmental awareness, no. Global perspective, no. Judgment, no. Organizational ability, yes, APSL. Personal ethics and values, no. Personal responsibility for performance, yes, APSL. Responsiveness, no. Results orientation, no. Sensitivity, no. Systems thinking, APSL. There it is, something for that. Technology, no. Time management, yes. Time management has an APSL, requires an APSL artifact. Visionary, no, does not require APSL artifact. So if you want to know which of these 21 competencies require artifacts, just do exactly what I did. That you can even create a spreadsheet ahead of time, go through here, mark it off, and then I've seen candidates just create a spreadsheet with each of the competencies, mark which one is for what's evidence, and then they'll just check it off on that spreadsheet to keep up with it. So that's how you know where to pull from and what to pull. You pull artifacts, things that were created from your activities in the APSL. Not necessarily words. Can it be words? Yeah, but you need to check with me before you put it in there. Mostly what the evaluator is looking for is agendas, action plans, even video links that takes to a YouTube of you conducting the meeting, or a picture of you conducting the meeting, or a little video snippet of you conducting the meeting, something that was created while you were going through the APSL. Not you telling somebody what you did, but you showing somebody what you did in each of these areas. Okay, any questions at this point?
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Can you use the same artifact for multiple things, or does it have to be a different artifact for each one?
I tell you what, Stephen, man, you're doing good. You set me up perfect. If we were playing volleyball, man, spike it, boom, 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 we'd be scoring right and left. That's a great question. You can use an artifact twice. You can use the same artifact twice. You cannot use it any more than twice. If you use it more than twice, I'll flag it and get back to you in my comments or feedback. So you can use one artifact 2 times. That's a great question. Great question. All right, any other questions out there? Keep asking them, because that's how we make sure we cover everything. All right, so we're going to move on down past the competencies. There's a little bit more to this competency folio, and I'm going to show you. Do not let me forget to show you a resource before we're done tonight that'll kind of help you get a good visual of what this can look like. But as you move on down past the last competency, and the last competency is visionary, then you'll see 2 more links here. One says digital learning competencies and one says internship log. The digital learning competencies you do not have to do anything with. Now, in years past, a candidate had to show their competency, the DLC. We all got to get DLC credits now in the school system. A candidate had to show their competencies in the DLC credit by opening up a link to something that shows that they did something along the lines of digital learning. You do not have to do that, because what Gardner-Webb did, and that's why a lot of the rubrics require you or encourage you, or the prompts require you to do a video or to I think in the ABSL, when you looked at evidence-based practices that might address the need, it required you to do some online stuff. Well, by requiring you to do that, by default, you are showing your competency in DLCs. So you do not have to upload anything for DLC. Now, why that's left in here is as we're accredited, as the governing agencies of colleges come in and look at our program, we have to show justification that we have embedded that, and we've given you the opportunity to show that. So that's why we leave this in here. So when we are audited, it will be there, and we can prove that we have embedded and made that connection from that work that you're doing in the evidences to the digital learning competencies. But you don't have to do anything. Now, what some candidates have done is as they go through and they upload artifacts, they'll tag it with highlight that this is a DLC. You do not have to do that. That is not a requirement. But what that candidate has done is they'll then take his competency folio to their technology facilitators or the technology department or the HR department, and they will get DLC credit for their work at Gardner Webb. So if you needed some DLC credits, but that doesn't have anything to do with Gardner Webb, that you get approval for that, and you get those credits through your HR department or through your technology. But that's what some candidates have done, is kind of, you know, two birds with one stone type scenario, is took this competency folio and got DLC credit for their license renewal. So if you want some more information on that, or you're interested in that and have any questions, contact me and I can give you some more details. But once again, it's not anything to do with Gardner Webb, other than we're providing you the platform to show it. You have to get approval from HR at your district, or whoever handles DLC credits for you in your district. So you do not have to do anything with their digital learning competency. Now, the internship log is each semester you will need to upload your internship log here for review and feedback. And that's the log of where you put down what you did, the hours that you did it, date, evidence, proof, whatever. And then at the very bottom, once you get it signed by your site administrator, you upload it here for me to review, or your clinical coach to review before the end of the semester. So that way we make sure you're staying on track with your internship log. You don't want to get to 605 and somebody look at your internship log and said, oh, that's not going to count. Those 10 hours won't count. You really should have done something like this. So that's why we kind of do check-ins for that too, to make sure that you stay on pace. So for your competency folio, you're going to do 3 artifacts for each of the competencies that's connected to the ABSL. If you want to upload some open-ended, fine, you can do that at any time, but you're only required to do what is connected and correlated to the ABSL, and we went over those. You do not have to do anything with digital learning competency, but you do need to upload your 601 internship log when you get your 80 hours. All right, any questions at this point? Okay, all right. I love working with smart people. All right, so now once you upload your artifacts and you got everything ready, now do you need to wait until you get artifacts for each of the competencies that's got the ABSL in it? You can. Can you upload one and then ask me to take a look at it to make sure it looks good and you kind of got the format right before you go to all the trouble of uploading the others? Absolutely. To do that is you request comments. Now, do not get this button here, publish share, confused with request comments. You click on request comments to get feedback from me on your competency folio, whether it's after you've done one or after you've done all that's required. That's up to you, but at some point in time, you need to request comments from me. So I will take a look at it and I'll sign off on it that yes, you have met the requirement for this competency. And that way, you know you're done. You don't have to go back and touch it again because I've signed off on it. And to do that is you request comment. Well, if we're not to get this confused with this button, then what is this button, Joe? Well, I'm glad you asked. This button is publish and share. Publish and share is when you want to send this out to somebody to look at. You would use this after you got your competency folio completed, you would then publish it and share it out with an interview, a superintendent, a potential principal, in an interview process. It's just like sharing something on your cell phone. You send it to that person to look at. It's not about getting feedback. It's about highlighting what you did. So that's for public. That's for you to use after you finish your competency folio and you graduate from the program. To get feedback from me that you need to do for the program, you request comments. So once you click on request comments, you'll see a window open up. And in that window, it will automatically highlight the competency that you happen to be on, that you happen to have highlighted. Let's see, I think, yeah. See, I got communication highlighted. So when I clicked on request comments, then it automatically checked that box off. And now what you'll need to do is if you just uploaded one artifact and you just want me to look at that one before you go through the others, then great. You click on the artifact that you want me to give you feedback on, or the competencies that you want me to give you feedback on after you've uploaded your artifact. Click request comments. This box pops up and you click continue. If you've done 2 or 3, then you need to go ahead and make a note of what you've done and click on the ones that you want me to look at. What this does is I get an email notification that you've uploaded artifacts and you requested comments. When I go into the system, it will highlight in red the ones you've requested comments on. So I'll click on that one, look at it, give you feedback. Click on the next one, look at it, give you feedback. So it's really a time-saving device that helps us get through this efficiently. Now, if you see this button here, request comments on all areas, please don't click on that. Please don't click on that. If you click on that, it highlights everything. And if you've put an artifact up in everything, then great, you can click on that, but you haven't done that. If you click on that, then I will keep getting notifications until I physically go into that competency and put some type of feedback or some type of comment. It will continually bug me. And then if it's bugging me, then I'm going to bug you about it. No, I'm just joking. I wouldn't do that. I'm not the guy. But I'll let you know, hey, don't click request comments on all areas if you didn't put artifacts, because I have to it really takes time away from what I need to do if I've got to physically go in and click on each one of these and just put not applicable, NA. There was no artifact, NA. Now, does it happen? Happens every semester. Even though I've told people, it happens every semester. Do you get mad if it happens? No, I don't get mad. I just let you know what we did and we move on from there. But I'm just asking you, don't do that. But if you did it, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. We'll get through it. I'll take a couple of Tylenol and we'll be fine. All right, so we clicked on the competencies that we want feedback on, and we click continue. When you click continue, then I don't know how yours is set up. It's who all that Dr. Lamb has given access to your competency folio. He may have put all the coaches in here, or it may just be me. But anyway, you look for my name, and when you see my name, just click on my name and then click continue. And I'm not going to click continue because then I'll get an email to myself from myself asking me to review competency that I haven't uploaded an artifact in. And then I'll have to go in and give myself comments that I didn't do that. And it's a whole Twilight Zone time portal thing that messes me up. So I'm not going to click on continue. But you click on continue, and then it'll say, it's one more step about sending the email. You ready to do that? You click on that, and then I'll get that email notification that you're requesting comments, and I'll go in here in my part and look at it and give you feedback back on every competency that you have uploaded. You don't have to do the internship log until the very last, but if you go ahead and get your 80 hours and you want me to look at that, then go ahead and do that. Well, my friends, that is the gist of the competency folio. After you get done with the ABSL, you upload the ABSL into the DRF, you can start working on this. You don't have to create anything. You just take artifacts from the ABSL and upload them into this. You can put some brief descriptions to describe that, and it does not have to be anything major. You don't have to copy and paste from your ABSL. You just pull in artifacts, as Stephen said, that maybe come from the appendix of your narrative. Any questions? Now I'm going to show you a couple other things, some resources for you if you haven't seen them yet. You may have already seen them. But any questions on the competency folio? If you get confused and you're trying to remember, you can go back and watch this video or the prior one where I kind of introduced it all. But as always, reach out to me. We'll call, we'll email, we'll Zoom if we need to. My goal is to help you be successful. If you're successful, I'm successful, Gardner Webb's successful, and we got great administrators going out helping our kids. And that's our goal. So if you need me, you ask. So one thing that might help you kind of get this set in your mind is in my Blackboard shell, under templates and resources, I have some things as far as the competency folio. All right. So you remember I told you you could track which artifacts, which evidences are connected to which competencies? Well, thanks to one of my candidates, they gave me permission to share that, and that's already created for you. So you don't have to do that. You go into my templates and resources, go to the bottom, find the competency folio tracking spreadsheet, click on it and pull this up. And my computer's slow. I mean, I think this is the very last version of a laptop that you could get before Microsoft is going to say, or Dell or whoever it was, is going to say, you know what, we're not going to help you anymore. That thing is too old to mess with. You need to buy a new one. And so it struggles sometimes, but I do too. We're kind of meant for each other. Okay, so here you go. Let me close this. Yes, I want to use this later. All right, so there you go. That's a spreadsheet, and it lists all the 21 competencies and the artifacts that are correlated to it. And you can go through here. Let me click edit. You can go through here and say, okay, I did that one. I did that one. And that'll help you keep track of what you've uploaded and what you hadn't. You don't have to keep scanning through that competency folio. If you want to put some notes in about anything, you can put it there. It's got your 3 artifacts for all 21 competencies. And you can pull that off and make it your own. Now, I didn't create that. Like I said, that's from a candidate that shared that with everybody and gave me permission to use it for future generations. So going back to my Blackboard shell and templates and resources, these are at the very bottom. The competency folio artifacts tracking sheet is what we just looked at. And here is a link to a competency folio that a candidate did a great job with it, made it their own, really highlights everything they needed to be in there, kind of a great format. This is something that Dr. Lamb shared with everybody to use as an exemplar. And this is some of you may know Miss Henderson, I don't know, but she gave us permission to use this. And this is how she set up her competency folio. And we're looking at Visionary right now. That if you click on communication, you can change the font, you can add pictures, you can, it's your web page that you build for yourself. And this is the directions at the very beginning. And then she said, okay, the ABSL, this is what she gave a brief description about the ABSL. And then you'll find the artifact down here. And this is what I'm talking about. I know automatically before I even click on that she means for this to be connected. This is her representation from the ABSL. This is an open-ended. This is a PSYOP. So I know that she's labeled them as such because there's no confusion to the clinical coach as to what evidence this is supposed to be connected to. The descriptions are brief. And this is where she said, okay, in this open-ended, this is an example of a digital learning credit. So she took this to her HR department. They approved it, and she got DLC credit for each of these artifacts as well. And she set it up with change management. And so this would be good for you to spend some time. You have access to this, spend some time and looking at it. This is from 2019. You look at her internship logs uploaded for each semester. She had an extra long one here. So she did a 2-parter. All right. If you look at digital learning competencies, you will notice that she hasn't uploaded anything here because she didn't have to. So this is a good one to look at, especially if you get ready to start creating your own. Now, you don't have to make it like this. The only thing that Gardner Webb is concerned about as far as meeting a licensure requirement is that you have 3 artifacts for each competency, and somebody can look at that competency and go in and identify those artifacts related to the evidences. But it does not have to look like this, but this is a good example of what one can look like. All right, so those are 2 good resources. You will find those once again. I'm not sure if Dr. Church has this in his course shell, but you'll find them in my Blackboard shell. Just go to templates and resources. And then just scroll down to the bottom, and there they are. And that will help you when you get to the competency folio. All right, my friends, that is everything that I have for you tonight. It is 7:46. We can spend the last bit of our time together with me answering any questions that you may have.
Dr. Bullis, will you
Yes,
go
ma'am.
back to the APSO submission screen?
Yes, certainly, absolutely. We can do that in short order.
I think I'm a little confused about something.
Well, it's probably because I didn't do a good job explaining it.
No, I wouldn't say that.
So we're looking at the DRF, and that's what you were talking about, right?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And then to submit the final would be, you click on the APSO on the left under MELS 601, right?
Yes, once you upload the APSO final evidence narrative in the Blackboard shell, and you get a grade for it, in the comment section, I will say ready for task stream. When I say ready for task stream, then that means you come here to the DRF, you click on the APSO, and you upload it right here, and you upload it and then submit it.
Okay, so you just use one of the links where it says add, correct?
Yeah, and this looks a little bit different than yours because, of course, I've got different rights, but they'll actually be at the bottom for you. There should be, unless they change something, once you've added, a file attachment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, up here. This is kind of directions, but you would add it up here. A submit button should appear right here, unless they changed it or upgraded. But you'll see a button here that allow you to submit it.
Okay, I got it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Great question. All right. What else can I help you with tonight? All right, so here we go. This is the most important thing I'm going to tell you tonight. Why did the duck get kicked out of class? Because he was quacking jokes. Huh? Yeah, that was a good one, right? That's a dad joke. That's a dad. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit of no love and then a little bit of love. But you guys, you got to laugh at that. That's a cute joke. My wife told me that right before I started class. I love the expression on your face, Chandra. Love it, love it. All right, so with that being said, and yes, that was recorded, so I've shown everybody my humorous side. So thank you for those of you who gave smiles. You all got A's for the evening. For those of you who didn't smile, that might be reflected in future grading. I'm just saying. I'm just joking. It's not, of course, it's fine. You guys have a great evening. I hope and pray you and your family stay safe and healthy. Thank you for attending. I always enjoy this. Got any questions? Reach out to me. I'm good for email, for phone call, for Zoom, whatever you need. God bless you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.